Hello, this is Pigsy Lamb, or whoever you like to call me. What would I like to talk about today? I do have some concerns with how things are progressing around this ex-Russian spy fiasco. I don't really understand the over-involvement from our government. And also I don't think it's conclusive evidence. You know, if they say there's a nerve agent that's Russian, you know, and the Russians asked to check out the agent because they want to investigate it. I mean, basically, they just want to see if they can figure out where it's come from, because you can't point a finger at a whole country. Because I mean, that's the problem. We've got this mindset. You know, if someone, I don't know, let's say someone Indian or something done that, you wouldn't blame the whole of India, or something like that. It just doesn't make sense, really. That's the way it's thinking, and what could result of it could be quite catastrophic in on the outcome of what could happen next. I mean, you definitely don't want a nuclear war or something. I don't know how any sanctions would fix the problem, and also it could be a group that are connected to Russia but not actually connected to any government. Remember, government's a different entity from actually the country. It's the same as our government. You know, if we decide to go to war, I didn't decide to go to war, they decided to go to war. I just voted them to be in some position, and they voted each other in as well. So, you know, if it comes down to certain situations arising from it, I'm not going to accept responsibility for some stupid actions that haven't been well thought out. I think it's definitely important that Theresa May just takes her time and thinks it through. I wish she'd get played off. My bigger concern is a war to wipe the credit. It's a bit like robbing somebody, but going into their burglar and take all their stuff, set fire to the house, and then blame the neighbours. So they basically don't have enough. They don't have enough money, so or they have got money. They just the illusion of this debt, this massive debt. So if you wipe out a big chunk of the population, or cause a war, then you can basically you can reset the credit. It's like kind of an insurance policy whereby there probably is insurance for these sorts of things as well. And there's people that bet on wars as well. There's a dark bet inside of the reality where people might make these sort of grand bets on things like an economy suffering or something else, you know, something really negative, and it seems quite a strange thing. You know, there was like bets on Hillary and Trump. That was true as well. Who would get into power, and if anyone's upset over Trump, and you know, if they like Hillary more, they realise Hillary was a bit too ambitious, and she would have leapt to money. Basically, if someone was offering her money, she was quite ruthless. What would have happened, really should have happened, if the timeline worked out, it would have been Bernie Sanders versus Trump, and Bernie would have probably got in. And I'm not a Bernie fan. I quite like the idea of sort of a bit of a shake-up with Trump. And I just want to see what happens now. It's just, I don't think it really matters too much who gets in, because the people you don't vote for are the ones that make the big decisions, like the banks and the industrial complex and certain other investors, Monsanto, these other things, basically in their Bilderberg groups. They can discuss the main issues, which are filtered back into go back into the government's think tank, and then they come out with stuff. But there's always going on about Russia being this enemy, and they need to be kind of it comes across as racist. You know, you just say, oh yeah, Russia, they've got to be a thing. And I might sound like I'm pro-Russia, and that's possibly because all I've heard is negative stuff about it. So I'm kind of trying to defend it to balance it out. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, like any other country. They've had their ups and downs, but I don't think we should go to pick off a war with them over something ridiculous, and then give them deadlines to respond and stuff. Who's making these demands up? It's not the public. It's not a public vote on things. He makes these decisions, and I bet you when the shit comes down, you'll have people hiding from this guy. Hiding from stay there. Lane. Just hide from responsibility. Just go in a bunker somewhere and just let everyone else get cooked on the surface. They really don't care that much, and what'll happen is it'll reshape the country. There's an issue with this Brexit. They don't like the idea of this Brexit going ahead. I think if we have a massive war, they can overturn it because basic governments will change. They will say we need to have a NATO control system over Russia if they win. Or if they don't, there might be some fusion of whatever's left. There may be groups within it. I mean, it's not, like I say, it's not just simply a country versus another country. We're international nowadays. You know, there's Russian people who live in the UK, and there's people from the UK who live in Russia. And equally, there's people that invest on both sides. There are people that seek to gain from situations. There's people that lose from these different situations, and they're rivals to each other. And it's a corporate entities. So if anything, it's what you should be blaming is an intelligent agency, possibly. But I don't understand why, if a person went to prison, that wouldn't be the place you'd deal with them in the country, rather than let them retire and so on. Something else going on behind the scenes. Sounds like a patsy, or maybe he was still active as an agent in some way, and he defected. He made a deal when he was in prison so he could get released, otherwise he'd be still in there. I mean, some of these Russian prisons are the toughest in the world. You get put in a place whereby if you went outside you just freeze to death, and it's like something like Alcatraz. So I think there's much more going on that we're not aware of, and it's being used, the situation, to propagate a war. And World War I started over something simple. It's quite simple, an assassination of one person. So it doesn't take a lot to kick-start some other nonsense. So that's concerning. Other strange experience. Oh yeah, there's another thing as well. I had some deja vu. That sensation that creeps in, like this has happened before. Aware of certain things. So you kind of like, it's like a bell being rung. You have this sensation that this is an important event, otherwise you wouldn't have a clear memory of it. You wouldn't have a kind of like warning sensation go off inside you. So it happened when I bought this digital radio, and I looked at it, and there was something else maybe on the table, and it triggered me because these things one thing I created, and the other thing I basically bought and never seen before. And it gave me this feeling like this has all happened before. I was looking at this thing, and then I know that there was some bad news coming. So I think we're quite close to a situation occurring. And then last night it was very strange because I was going off to sleep, and I had this. Well, actually, I had an MP3 player make some strange noise. So maybe it's also doubles up as a listening device. Where are you going? I don't know what you're doing. Well, this is not going to help, is it? Oh, these situations, right. And yeah, so that made a noise like something, possibly just like a speaker, like it was kind of got background noise, as if it's heard itself, and it seemed a bit weird that this noise came through the speaker, because it's just a play only device. It does have Bluetooth. It can't connect to the internet that I'm aware of, but maybe I don't understand the full ins and outs of Bluetooth and what Wi-Fi equipment and so on. And then I was laid in bed, and I heard this like robotic beep, like beep beep, like some weird noise I've never heard before, but that was actually in my head. So God knows what's actually inside me. I've had these kind of strange noises before. It makes me wonder if like some nanobots are actually wired up to my brain or my nervous system, or it could even be something these alien things I see in the night sometimes. You might get this kind of, you're laid asleep, I mean you could be getting bitten by something, but you find a sort of prodding or some poke or some weird sensation, and I think that's possibly putting something into you. As strange as that might sound, it's just that the computer noise doesn't really have any source. I haven't got any anxiety. So usually if somebody says, oh, that could be mental health, there's usually anxiety that triggers mental health, and I don't really have much at all of that. I'm usually quite chilled and carefree. So yeah, it's just interesting thoughts. So be prepared for what may happen, but don't expect it to happen. Hopefully concentrate your mind on a better outcome. But it was always a case of just looking for an opportunity to create a situation, and I think that's how close we are at the moment. Anyway, this is Piggy sign off, and speak to you soon.